how much stock do we put into what happened with Zack Wheeler? Apparently he injured his back about a month ago. He like landed on the mound in a bizarre way. Like I didn't see the video clip or whatever, but it was referenced in a couple of the stories that I read. So it's kind of like here or there been bothering him a little bit. And then in the fifth inning of last night's game against the Dodgers, he left with back tightness. Said he hopes to make his next start, but then what's the quote from this one story? It's it's quote, bothered me here and there a little bit. Oh, well, you're the favorite for an award, so probably important to know that now going forward. Just gets a little more tenuous, right? You're a little more like, yeah, maybe. I mean, it's now happening at a good time, I guess. All-Star break coming up next week, so a little more time off for some of these pitchers. Like maybe he makes his next start. Even if he misses one start, he gets like 13 days off before he would have to pitch next weekend. So maybe happening at a good time, but definitely kind of calls into question whether you would ever click his name at this kind of a price. Probably be much more likely to click Chris Sale or somebody else. I think we're not there yet, but we're getting pretty close, Peach, to how many pitchers do we feel like are on the list of that can really win, and even some of the surprises. Do we think that's going to hold up, right? Do we think like some of those pitch? So even if you look at the odds board right now, the odds board for Cy Young is always going to really strongly reflect pedigree, like who has been really good before or who has like a ton of high, like Skeens is on this list for that reason. But everybody else, it's like, have we seen them do something like this before? And the answer for a lot of them is yes. Like Wheeler, yes. Sale, yes. Logan Webb, yes. Glasnow, yes. And yet like the actual stats for the pitchers don't necessarily reflect that right now. So there's always this interesting mix of what we think you're going to do, but then what you've actually done. And even at this point, I would still always put most stock into, all right, who's actually had like 200 innings before of like really high quality pitching that could actually go for most of the season. That's Sale and Wheeler for sure. And then the next like realistic name you would probably say is Logan Webb, which I know is somebody that Jake and I don't like very much anymore because he cost us money last year when we bet him. I mean, if it's like, hey, if it's not Wheeler or Sale, who's your next click after that? Probably Logan Webb just because of the price, although his price has been dropping a little bit recently. I know Jake has some thoughts on this too. Is that Peaches? Do you have a strong thought on like if it's not those two, who do you like? Do you like Sale a lot more than Wheeler? That could be this conversation also as a result of kind of this nagging injury now for Zack Wheeler. Where do you stand here?
Yeah, Logan Webb was my first thought. That was the guy that I was looking at. It's the guy that I trust most, to be quite frank with you. I mean, you mentioned that Wheeler is obviously maybe dealing with an injury. Chris Sale has had an injury history here the last 4 or 5 years. And this market already has been affected by it. Certainly Spencer Strider, who was the favorite in the offseason. Glasnow was amongst one of the favorites, and now he is banged up. So just looking at those two favorites in Wheeler and Sale, who are having great seasons. But especially with Chris Sale and the Braves, Ken, like they're already down Strider, right? So if there's even any kind of symptom or Chris Sale looks like there's something wrong with him, they won't take their chances. They're obviously having the postseason in mind. I think Webb would be the guy that as you were going through it and you were talking about the odds, he was the one that was jumping out at me as well.
How many pitchers? I'm gonna read off some names. You need to tell me, are they in PJ's Cy Young bucket? Okay. So okay. NL Cy Young. Is Zack Wheeler in the bucket?
Yes.
Okay. Is Chris Sale in the bucket?
Yes.
First interesting one. Is Ranger Suarez in the bucket?
He is, yes.
I don't know if I want him in my bucket to feel like I have the winner. I have to have Wheeler and Sale in the bucket. But okay, PJ's Cy Young. And I'm going to read these. I guess I can do the odds board too. Logan Webb, is he in the bucket?
He is, yep.
Okay. Is Skeens in the bucket?
He is, yep.
Okay, so that's 5. Is Ronaldo Lopez in the bucket?
No.
So you want Ranger Suarez in, but not him. That's really interesting to me. My thing is, if you don't want Lopez in, you have to not want Suarez in, because the idea is like, well, like just make them prove it that they could do it for a whole season. Like some of Lopez's numbers are like just as outrageous. Yeah.
They are, but like he's pitching out of his mind, Ken. Like I think the second half regression coming for Lopez.
No question.
No question. Right. Ranger was awesome, and like he's had some great postseasons the last couple of years for Philadelphia, and like Lopez has had his moments. He was a big prospect. I remember when he was coming through the Nationals minor league system, but he's pitching out of his mind. So I don't want Lopez. I want the top 7 guys on the odds board. If you gave me Wheeler, Sale, Suarez, Webb, Skeens, Fried, and Glasnow, those 7, I think our winner's coming from those 7 guys. I don't think you have to go any farther down. I don't think there's going to be any surprises, any guys that go crazy in the second half. I think the top 7, I think one of it's coming from one of those guys. That's all I would need.
Let me hard pivot to Jake now, because Jake's going to do a better job of answering this question than I am. Jake, if PJ is wrong, that it is not the top 7. So first of all, take in any market, taking the top 7, pretty good idea, because they're the 7 favorites. You got a lot of win probability there. So PJ's taking the top 7. He's taken Wheeler, Sale, Ranger Suarez, Logan Webb, Fried, Skeens, and Glasnow, and he's like, I don't need anybody else. It's July 10th. I think I got the winner. Those 7 in the bucket. That's my bucket. If he's wrong, well, first of all, do you think he's wrong? If he's wrong, how is he wrong?
I would remove Ranger Suarez and Reynaldo Lopez. I think the other 5 are right.
He doesn't have Lopez. He said no to Lopez. So he has Fried in. That's the guy that we're there.
I do agree that if you're no Lopez, you're no Suarez, or right. Ipso facto. So I'm out on Lopez. I would include Fried as a long shot flight, just to have him in the bucket just in case. I would throw Sonny Gray in. I'm not confident in it, but that would be like my just like insurance policy, I guess, entry. But otherwise, I agree. Like, I think, honestly, I might be fine with just Wheeler, Sale, Webb, and Glasnow. Like, I might be fine with just 4, to be honest with you.
Who do you think is more likely to win? Ranger Suarez or Reynaldo Lopez?
Secret option C, death? Like,
right. You can say,
guess,
you can't say neither. Just like, I judge from your answer that your real answer is neither, but like,
yeah,
they both rate out really well right now. You don't want either of them. I can't sell you either of these pitchers right now.
Like you hand me $100, like you stop me on the street, you hand me $100, I'm going Ranger Suarez. Okay. But like my real answer is neither.
It's crazy to me. Like, it's July 10th and you're both like, nah, we got it. Like, we got the list. There's not enough time. Not enough time for Jake. Not enough time for anybody else. And then Peach can answer after.
I mean, and that's kind of why I put like Sonny Gray in the bucket as well. Like, he's somebody who I like at like the longer price. But I mean, Ken, like we've talked about this. I've thought it's been Wheeler most of, if not the entire time. Now this back thing kind of muddies that water. So I think like Sale is the deserving favorite, and it's probably in the lead. But especially when you have 2 guys at the top, for me, like Sale and Wheeler are 2 guys that voters are dying to give this award to and have been for years. So I think that gives them this is the second day in a row I'm saying this, and I hate that I am, but that gives them a vibes edge. Like it just does because these are we know MLB voters are weird like that.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that it's coming from one of those 7. I think Wheeler and Sale are good favorites right now. I think if something happens, whether it be performance or injury related, I think the guys behind them, like a Logan Webb or a Glasnow or somebody like that, I think could hop up in there as well.